So thanks for joining myself. Look, today is a number of videos with the likes of Evan MacDonald, co-host of the National Development Summit, catching up with Thomas Knust or Thomas Nust as well, who's a developer who's going to be on the panel focused on planning uplift. Look, I'm really delighted to have sponsor or architecture with myself this afternoon. It's going to be a brief, short video about why sustainability is not a fad. Look, I'll be absolutely open.
This guy thinks it is a fad.
I can see it more of a fad. I forgot what Nicola described it as. I was talking to Ben beforehand, but Nicola's Keenan's article in the National Development Summit Conference Handbook said it wasn't something just for the moment, it was here to stay. And I can see that in a perspective, I'm still to be won over.
The word itself means that something is viable over the long term. So to say that it is a fad is a just huge contradiction on the definition of the word itself. I think a lot of people will see it as a fad from the environmental sustainability, energy efficiency type of thing. But again, we're becoming ever more conscious of the environmental climate change question, and sustainability in property is prime to that.
So
really.
Ben, just to introduce yourself. So Ben's from More Architecture plus EXP Property Investment. So you understand sustainability from a developer perspective and also from an architectural perspective, and that may be different because developers are generally looking at the bottom line, while architects are not necessarily looking at the bottom line of a developer's project.
Yes, it's a fine balance, I guess. The government also helped to drive the way in which, in terms of regulatory, Part L, building regulation compliance.
So say it again?
Part L is the building regulation energy approved document. So everything that we design from an architectural point of view, a building fabric point of view, has to abide by certain U values and air permeability rates, and that's all written down in Part L. And those regulations are ever changing with the way the world is going. And there's a new Part L coming out very soon. There's a lot of talk about that.
We didn't cover this in the briefing notes, but what does it stand for, Part L?
So basically, building regulations are set out in lots of different approved documents. So approved document Part B, for example, is fire. Everything to do with fire from a building regs perspective. Part E is everything to do with sound. Part L is just the energy section. Part A is structure. So there are approved documents that are that the government set out, and they've been around for many years. They change at regular intervals depending on different needs and the way that, for example, Part L is changing because of the push for more environmentally friendly, sustainable, energy efficient buildings. Hence the change and the new regulations are coming out soon.
So look, in terms of EXP Property Investment, Sam, thanks for joining myself. Sam's a bit of a YouTube star or social media star.
Hey Sam.
So massive thanks for joining myself. Sam, maybe we can catch up for a live at some point before the National Development Summit. I haven't even mentioned the date, but 18th of January 2020. So Sam, just give me a thumbs up if you think we could catch up before the 18th of January for a short Facebook Live. Look, Ben, EXP Property Investment, how are you implementing sustainability into your projects? And do you want to just explain some of the projects you're working on as well?
Yeah, sure.
Not everyone knows who EXP Property Investments is.
Yeah, so EXP Property Investments is myself and Jack Jiggins, my business partner. Predominantly we work around Berkshire, the home counties. We're developers, so we take land, commercial, residential developments from without planning permission, with planning permission. We bought 3 things in the last 9 months. A mixed use scheme that we're going to get 7 flats and 3,000 square foot of office space out of. Another scheme which was a disused police office in a small village outside of Reading, and we've got planning permission for that just before Christmas to turn it into 3 houses and a small office. And we are also embarking on a crowdfund raise for the conversion of a basement space into two-bed flats, which is currently live on the Crowd With Us website at the moment.
And that's in West Reading.
West Reading, yeah, true. So in terms of EXP, what we're doing, the police station project, for example, is a conversion and an office unit, and then a new build two-bed flat on the right-hand side. So the new build actually takes a different approach in terms of how we design that. Because it's a new build, it has higher requirements under Part L of the approved documents, which we spoke about. So the new build will have PV solar panels on the roof. The building fabric will be much greater. Where we're upgrading the existing property, there's no actual requirement by building regulations to do what we're going to be doing. So if we replace the windows, which we're likely to do, they'll be to latest building regulation standards. And the office will be upgraded partially because we're rebuilding part of that new. So the new elements that we design will be to the latest building regulation standards and beyond.
I was going to say, Ben, look, you've got a background as an architectural engineer, architectural company.
Yeah.
Are all architectural companies so up to date on sustainability, or is it?
I mean, you learn that throughout university.
Wow, look at this on sustainability we've got.
There you go.
Yeah. Even though you can see my view.
Yeah, I mean, like Brendan said beforehand, he's only seen the word sustainability and energy efficiency come to the fore in the last couple of years. But I graduated 10 years ago, and we were whole modules on that side of things. The world is changing. You probably would notice it more in the last 2 years because there's been a hell of a lot more media on it. The tragedy at the moment over in Australia with the bushfires and stuff like that. Climate change is real. It's here, and we have to. 40% of the carbon emissions in the UK are from the construction industry and property. So we as designers
that's what I heard a few months ago. I went to an event which Evan invited me to. Evan co-hosted the National Development Summit, and 40% came up as a figure, which is
massive. And we as the designer have a lot of input. We have the say in that. Really, we're driven by developers. We're driven by the government regulations. But there is a massive conglomerate of architects and designers pooling together lately.
And that's called Architects Declare?
Architects Declare, yeah, architectsdeclare.com I think it is. If you go there, it was set up by I think Zahadid and some other sort of big name architects to pool.
Zahadid, who was behind the Olympic pool.
Yep,
among
other well-known world architecture properties. The Architects Declare is just pooling lots of architectural practices around the UK and the world together to try and change what we do from a practice level. So obviously the government sets their targets, but we're trying to really push that even further to make it, to try and hit the targets that we need to achieve to reduce carbon emissions around the world. So
look, so yes, Ben will be speaking at the summit on this topic. I was just thinking there for a minute while Ben was speaking. I won't replicate what Ben's doing at the Central London Property event, although potentially, depending what Ben says, because Ben's one of the sponsors, I may put a panel on at some point in the year which is focused on sustainability, potentially if Ben thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, you can find out more about the summit, bequinevents.com/NDS. Ben, how can they find out more about Aura Architecture?
Yeah, aurahomes.co.uk. Take a look at our website or message me directly on all of the social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Fairly active on most of those. We generally work with homeowners looking to extend and transform the way that they live with their private homes. And then with property developers up to about 20 units. We've got a 24 unit scheme in Croydon at the moment, which is kind of the top end of where we go in terms of size. But anywhere in between, small schemes, 2 units, which is one we've got with the XP property. And we're doing a 5 unit scheme in Southwark, about to embark on a 12 unit scheme in Epsom. So yeah, www.aurahomes.co.uk is the best place to find out.
So massive thanks for joining myself. I want to say huge thanks for Ben for taking time out this afternoon.
No worries.
Thank you, and thank you.
Cheers.